Hey everyone, good morning. Good morning. JT here. Welcome to the last and final bonus episode of Greatness You. So, as always, I just wanted to thank all of you for making the time to check it out. Whether you're tuning in live, ideally, or you're catching the replay, Greatness You is all about you. It's for people that declare that 2021 is the year of the greatest you. So this morning, I am super grateful that I'm able to have on one of my good friends, one of my brothers from another mother, one of my amazing clients. And we were just going to have a conversation and just share with you his experience of thinking into results. So again, I just wanted to introduce you to. He's a bit of a celebrity in the community. I find a lot of people have been sending me messages wanting to know more about him and his story. He has posted a few times just sharing his journey. So I wanted to bring him on just for those that haven't had a chance to meet him yet. So I just wanted to introduce to you David Wong. Thank you for coming on today, David.
Thank you for having me. Super enthusiastic to get started.
Yeah. So again, David's posted a couple videos over the last few months, and why I wanted to bring him on was his story resonates. And it's been really amazing to see the transformation that I have witnessed over the last couple of years with David, but especially over the last few months. And we have a special guest, another special guest. You want to say hi? I say hi, David? No. So tell us a little bit about you, David. Catch us up to speed. Can you give us, that 30-second intro about you? Tell us about yourself.
The intro about me. Okay. My biggest thing is that I've always had like imposter syndrome around, who I really am. In the last 5 years, I've been trying to start my own business, start my own freelancing gig, make money aside from break away from that family expectation of me. Because I graduated school, I need to go into some sort of profession, ideally work for the government because it's super secure to work for the government, they say. When in fact, if you look at the start of COVID this year, a lot of my cousins who are working for the government kind of had to be put aside for a little bit, furloughed. So my biggest thing was I thought I was an entrepreneur. I hate telling people that I was an entrepreneur because I felt like I didn't make it yet. I wasn't there yet. So now I'm happy to say, and I'm enthusiastic to be able to say that I feel like I am. I fit those shoes now. So that's who I am today. I truly am able to believe in it. I think that's my biggest shift as well. So other than the fact that I'm an entrepreneur, I have several kind of businesses that are running and are kind of starting up at the same time. I live in Vancouver. I used to compete for Canada in Taekwondo. I love coffee. Just a lot of things about me. I don't know how far you want to meet. I can probably talk about half an hour, about me, but I'll let you guide the way.
Oh, okay.
So that's high level overview of me, at least.
Okay. Yeah. So no, I love that. And again, we'll get into a little bit more of your story a little bit, in greater detail as we chat. So tell me and tell the rest of the Thinking into Greatness community, what got you interested into thinking into results? Can you kind of, rewind 6.5 months?
It's already 6.5 months. What got me into it, I always knew that I needed something of this sort, right? I didn't know what it was, but I've always looked into coaching programs, whether that's the Tony Robbins stuff, the Brendan Burchard stuff that's always online. I watched a bunch of the videos and stuff like that. I go on to their landing page to check out the program, but I never committed to taking action. I didn't know what it was. I don't know if it was the money. I can't remember if it was a money thing or if it's I just never resonated with those guys. As great as they are and as big as their audience is, I'm just there's something about them that never really hit me. But I knew I needed it, right? I knew I needed this to get me to the next step because my greatest fears was dreaming and setting too big of a goal. And just talking to you, not 6.5 months ago, but like, a year ago when we met up at that tea shop in Toronto, that in itself was already, you taught me how to, like, it was like 1 hour, but you taught me how to, ground myself in the moment, to stay focused, to zone in and to like laser in on what it is that I'm doing. I think that in itself, in just 6 months, that small lesson has shifted, my results, not by a lot. Obviously the last 6.5 months was a lot more, but that in itself was a small win for me. So, you know, I was thinking like, if I took that small lesson from you already and got such great results, or like, some sort of results, imagine what it would be like if I actually worked with you, you know, more intimately.
Yeah.
So that combined with the fact that I knew that I needed it,
Okay.
I was like, it's almost like a no-brainer. Like, this landed on my plate 6.5 months ago. It was a challenge for me to commit to it at first,
Yeah.
but I'm like, this is it. Like, I just knew.
Okay. So what I'm really hearing from you is that, and this seemed to be a theme that came up a lot, was you had a desire to grow and to create better results in your life. Would that be fair to say?
100%.
Yeah. And really, the other thing I got from it was you knew you needed it, right? Or you knew, sorry, you wanted it. You were just sort of looking for the person that was going to help you make a quantum leap in your life, right?
Correct.
Okay. No, and definitely, and that's interesting, right? And I love the fact that you were just open to it, right? And as you got more open to it, right? When the student is ready, there's that old cliche, right? When the
Yeah.
student is ready, the
Teacher shows
teacher
up.
will appear,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
And I'm always about resonating, like making sure that you resonate with that person that you're working with, because that's one of my greatest values
Mhm.
when I, try to work with my clients and stuff like that. It's always making sure that I resonate with them.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it's just going to be like a power struggle between the two people. So you're one of those people that I really resonated with. And I just added to the whole thing.
Yeah. No, and thank you for that, right? And as you share that, what I hear from you is just that idea of lead with value, right? And help more people, right? And once you help people and they feel like they, can trust you, then they become open, right? Okay. I love that. Oh, I definitely want to dive more into that. So again, we'll stick in that 6.5 months. So we had a conversation in the middle of June, I think it was, or
Yeah.
just before the middle of June. Actually, I think it was early June. And we had a conversation around goals. And I know you mentioned that you've always been someone who's always dreamed big, right? Like you've just always had a powerful imagination. And when you were first presented with the opportunity of here's this big dream you want, here's how we're going to get you there, right? Thinking into results. What was your initial reaction when you were first, presented with the opportunity?
I just had the same shivers down my spine as as I did when you first presented it to me. It just like suddenly shot down. But two major things came to my head. Number one, it was like, yeah, I need this. Number two is like, oh, I don't know if I can make that investment.
Mhm.
Right. Those were the two biggest things. And
Okay.
looking back at it, I'm like, I can't believe I even thought that investing that money would be a problem
Yeah.
based on the results that I've gotten. Because that's right. And we can dive deeper into this right now, but it's almost like the taxes that I'm paying each month, that I'm setting aside each month for what I'm making right now, is more
Hmm.
than what I need to invest for these results. So it's like, but back then it wasn't. I was like, okay, how am I going to find enough each month, right?
Yeah.
Plus, on top of living, it's just like, what the heck?
Yeah. And what I'm really gathering from that is hearing, that old, you can really see how your mindset has shifted, right? Where before the old programming, right? The old paradigm wants to say, oh, I have to see it to believe it, right? So I have to see the money in my bank account before I can commit. But as you and I both know, because we're doing the work, we know it doesn't happen like that, right? You have to commit and make that committed decision and say, hey, I'm all in. I'm burning the boats, right? I'm going to find the money, right? And once you make that decision, like you said, you find the money. What I would really love to hear, and I'm sure what has really resonated with people, is I would love to hear, right? You made the committed decision, but I would love for you to share the finding the money piece, because that one definitely challenges our way, like that old programming. So do you want to share with everyone a little bit about, did you have the money sitting in a bank account waiting?
No, not at all. So number one, I made the commitment. Number two, I was like, let me find you the money. And then I went through two major avenues, which lo and behold, they both said no. I wasn't surprised, but I knew I had to ask anyways. Number one was asking my cousin when I was out in Toronto, 2.5 years ago up until last year. I relied on him for a lot of the financial stuff. Like a couple of months, I had to get him to help me pay my rent and stuff like that, pay for gas. And so when I asked him for this, I wasn't surprised that he was like, no, especially because I didn't actually pay him back yet, like fully, which I since have in like the last month or like last 2 months or so. So that wasn't a surprise to me. And then the second thing was going to the bank. I was asking for a line of credit. And I also wasn't surprised that they denied me as well, because I have a history of not paying down my credit cards. And I would just carry a full balance on all my cards. Or every month I'm paying interest, I'm paying late payment fees. I got one credit card that I actually closed down, so I have a delinquent on my account. And my credit score is basically like 625 at the time in June. So I was like, yeah, I'm not surprised he said no. But I had to do it anyways, because I'm like, I had to show Justin that I'm freaking serious, right? So I came back to you and I was like, okay, I want to do these two routes. They both said no. The only thing that I can do is, what money I have in my account right now, I can give that to you as sort of like a down. And I'm expecting money to come in from a client in I think it was like next week or something. And I'm able to send that to you once it comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And so we locked in the first month, but I can tell you right now, once I locked in the first month, I was like, where the hell am I going to find the next month and the next month and the next month, right? And I was so scared for probably those first 3 months of I was barely, finding enough each month in order to make that payment on time. And I'm not someone to, and it's because I want my clients to pay me on time. I don't pay people late either, right? Because I feel it's full circle.
Mm-hmm.
So I was struggling. I definitely stressed the first 3 months of trying to figure out how I was going to pay you, but here we are.
Yeah. And so what I'm really hearing from you is you took a leap of faith, right? Like that proverbial, you jumped, you jumped off the cliff and you believed that you would sprout wings, that I would help you fly, right? And that we would gain wings together and we would make it happen. Is that fair to say?
That's fair. And I've heard so many stories from people I don't know, just watching YouTube and reading books and stuff like that. Everybody is just it's not doing any more than they are doing. It's just fixing what's in their head. Yeah. So it's I knew I needed that.
Yeah. No, and it's interesting, right? And you're very in tune. So I definitely want to dive a little bit deeper and hear a little bit more. So you were sharing, what prompted you to say yes, right? You shared that and you jumped in. Did you find that your mind shifted in terms of what it meant to truly believe, to have faith that everything is going to work out? What have you, how has that shifted? And if it has, how has your belief and your faith, right? And faith, not from a religious context, but just everything's going to work out. I just need to do the work. I need to invest the hour a day.
I know that it's been a shift because I want to be able to now impose this on people. I don't do it yet, but when I see it from other people, I'm like, dude, this is what you need. But I'm not there to give them a lesson or preach at them or anything like that, right? But I think just by me noticing it and being aware of it and happening on other people, that's when I know that I kind of have it or have a shift. Because back then I would literally go down to meet them at where they're at and just be like, yeah, man, I get it. It's just yeah, I'm in the shits right now too. I feel the exact same way. There's no, right? And that's just part of, being around who I used to be around with. But now I notice those things, right? So there definitely has been a major shift for me. And I think I might have mentioned this earlier, is that I used to be afraid of, dreaming big. I used to be afraid of visualizing. Like when those visions come in my head, I stop it immediately. It's like, who am I to deserve that? Who am I to ever get any of that stuff?
Yeah.
And goals, it's like, especially the financial goals, it's like, how am I ever going to hit those, the 6, 7, 8 figures,
Yeah.
years or months and stuff like that. But now it's like, I don't need to know how. I just have to believe and see myself that I'm there, and believe that maybe I'm gifted. I don't know, like, this is getting a little bit, out there, but it's maybe I was gifted those visions because I am deserving of those things, and just allowing myself to believe in it. I think that's been the biggest shift. It's just, you know, opening my head or my mind and enabling those things to just freely flow through me and be like, yeah, I am capable of those things. And, maybe, and even just 3 months in, I'm not hitting those numbers that I had wanted yet, but the numbers have been going up. So it's like something's happening. It's trending up. It's all in the right direction. Right.
Yeah. Well, what I'm hearing from you is that what a big shift was your belief in yourself, right? And understanding how much potential you really have and how you can make your dreams happen, right? And how they're not, crazy. They're not there. And again, there's just, again, the old programming, right? Those old, like the stuff that, we've been sort of conditioned to believe, that's passed down through the genes, our environment. And I just love the fact of, your belief in yourself has changed. I am worthy, right? I am deserving of all this great shit in my life. So would you say that has been the biggest shift, was how you see yourself?
Yeah, it's definitely the self-image, biggest freaking thing. Like, yeah, because the thing I dealt with the most, I didn't know what it was called at the time, but it's imposter syndrome. Like, I didn't, I had this alter ego of me that I wanted to fill, that I wanted to be, but I'm like, that's just, a dream. It's just a vision. I'm trying to like block myself from it and just kind of like focus on what it is that I'm doing. But in hindsight, it's like what I've been doing the last 5 years have only gotten me so far. So why do it's like like the definition of insanity, right? It's like doing the same thing over and again, expecting different results. It's like, what the heck was I doing? Right. My only regret, if I were to put anything out there, is like, why didn't I have this sooner? But, things happen. Like, if I didn't have those last 5 years, I don't think I would have this moment right now.
Yeah.
So it all happened in, it might have taken a little bit longer, and then all I needed was my patience. And that's all I had back 5 years ago. I was like, I'm just being patient. And everyone around me was like, dude, when are you going to get that thing you said you were going to get? When are you going to start that company? So I was like, I don't freaking know, bro. I'm just trying to be patient, and, they say there's no overnight successes, but this is like over 6 month success is basically what it is. 5 years. And then 6 months later, it's like, boom, here you go. See ya.
Yeah.
Here's my company. Here's my coffee brand.
Yeah. And that's great. So I appreciate you sharing. What about changes? I know you've been sharing, a lot of the changes, both in your personal life, professionally. But if I asked you, what are those real specific changes that you have noticed? And even if you want to, share about it, like, tell us, like, what have you noticed since you said yes to thinking into results and started doing the work on a daily basis?
I think several things. One of the biggest things, the first thing that comes to my mind is sort of being able to step up now as a leader, not just, because that was one of the things that I've always wanted to be as well. Like, I have this vision of, speaking on stage, being on TED Talks, and speaking next to the greatest speakers in the world. It's like, well, first I got to be a leader, and I got to be able to lead a small crowd of people towards a certain vision as well. And the best place for me to have done that is in the business, because, we all have the end goal in mind in the businesses, is that we got to serve our customers to the fullest way possible, win across the board. So becoming a leader in the business, and, back then it was more or less like, hey, Jamie, can you do this for me? Thanks. Can you do that for me? Whatever. But now it's more or less like, can you do this for me? Plus, what are your goals? Like, where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you see yourself, working with us, or after you finish working with us, type of thing, right? And helping people on their journey as well. Even if I can't help them directly, it's more or less like understanding and acknowledging and appreciating the fact and encouraging them to that's right. Let's, hold that vision.
Mhm.
So that, in part, becoming a leader in the business, I think, has really changed the results and it changed the culture. I think that's the correct word, culture in the business, which has actually brought up productivity across the board with everyone who's working. And I feel like people are more inclined to give their input, their feedback into the systems, what's working right now. Hey, that's not really working. I think that we should try this way instead. And just me also being open to accepting those things. Because back then I was so rigid, like, nope, it has to be this way. This is the way I do it. This is the way I find it's best. We're going to do it this way.
Mhm.
So enabling those things and just listening, I think that's the biggest thing that comes with becoming a leader. So that's one thing on a business side. I think on a personal level, my biggest change just has been showing appreciation for people around me and being grateful. I didn't know, we throw the word gratitude around like it's nothing now. It's like, oh, just show gratitude, be grateful for certain things. And it's like back then when I was in the shits in Toronto, I was like, I didn't know how to be grateful for anything, right? And it all started with me saying stuff like, oh, I'm so grateful that there's that bird's nest in the top of the tree while I'm walking. When in fact, I'm just saying that. I don't actually give a crap about that bird's nest in the tree. Whereas now, it's like when I say I'm grateful for something or I appreciate you for something, I truly mean it. It's like there's emotion out of me involved in that stuff. And I think people can feel it because the response that I'm getting is a lot different now than the way that people used to respond to that. Right. So, and I think it also comes full circle too, because like by me doing that, maybe not them saying it back to me, but other people would be showing appreciation and gratitude for me as well. And that kind of just lifts me up overall and allows me to be an even better person.
Yeah.
On a personal life. And then I guess in relationship, I'm more, I've allowed myself to be more present with my girlfriend. I think that was one of the biggest things, especially as an entrepreneur. It's like you're working 8 a.m., your calls and everything like that until 4 p.m., have dinner, you get back on calls, you see my girlfriend for like 2 hours, and I come back at 11 p.m., I start working again for a little bit because I just feel like I always need to be on, when in fact I didn't. Right. But I had that idea, mindset, right? Even though we never had a relationship lesson in TIR per se, it's just all the things that I gathered allowed me to, reflect on those things and be like, how do I want to show up as a boyfriend? Yeah. Right. What do I need? What are the steps I need to do? What do I need to communicate to my girlfriend to let her know that this is how it's going to change? Because it's kind of weird, honestly. Like if I acted one way with her for like the last 2.5 years and all of a sudden I'm like doing something completely different, in my mind, if someone did that to me, I'd be like, something's up. Like, what do you want from me? Right. Why are you being so nice all of a sudden? So it's also part of communicating that to her as well. So I think in all those 3 domains, there have been major shifts.
Yeah. And I appreciate you again being honest and being vulnerable and sharing, right, with everything, and all these amazing changes you've seen. So what I'm really hearing from you is that you're being very calm and confident in all areas of your life. And that's what it's done. And because you're so calm and confident, you're just able to show up, to help, and to serve others, whether it's in your personal or your professional life, to a much greater extent. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah. The first thing that came to my mind when you were talking about that was the fact that I used to allow other people's opinions, really dictate the way I do things. Mm-hmm. Whereas now it's like, I'm just so confident. Like I know, even though I don't 100% know that what I'm about to do is like the right thing, at least I'm, trusting myself to follow it through. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It is what it is, whatever, like, fail forward type of thing. Right. But if I allowed other people's opinions to stop me before I even do those things, it's like, well, I failed just like right out the gate. It's like, you didn't even try, bro. What the heck?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
definitely that.
Well, again, there's that. Again, one of the things that is the idea, and something we talk a lot about in Thinking to Results, is learning to live from the inside out, right? Allowing the life you want to live, right? The things you want, how you want to spend your days, allow that to guide you. And that becomes where just an amazing feeling, right? I know I'm sort of preaching to the choir there, but it's completely different as opposed to, and I where you're allowing other people to influence you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what a, if we need any more reminders, just look at the last few months, right? This is where this work needs it even more.
Yeah, there's a huge gray line between who you should listen to and who you shouldn't. You got to pick those people. Like, be really, really mindful.
Yeah.
And at the first instance that you feel like something's not right, like, well, basically, what I'm trying to say is like trust your gut. Like, that's my biggest thing. The last 6 months is also allowing myself to trust my gut, because I had those feelings come up and I just kind of like suppress it, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll push it away. Because some of those ideas are like really far out there. It's like, maybe I shouldn't talk to so and so anymore. But I've been talking to them for like the last 12 years.
Yeah.
Right. So just trusting my gut the last 6 months, not just, in terms of like my circle, but business wise, relationship wise. Maybe I should buy that thing for my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Right. I buy it and right, she loves it. That required no additional effort of me, along back then. It was like during Christmas and stuff like that. I was like, okay, what should I get from a girlfriend? What, like, oh my God. It was always like a stress.
Yeah.
Sort of like, am I going to get her the right thing? Is she going to like it? Whereas now it's just kind of like, the gut's like, it's just telling me the right thing. And just, that also comes down to me making better decisions and being faster with decisions. Cause I used to contemplate and sit on things a long time. I think that was one of the things for the last 6 months. It's like 6 months ago, I was like, it took me forever to like, I ultimately committed, but I needed time to decide and to think, right? And when you take that time to think, how do you say it? It's like, when you stop to think, it usually, for me at least, it pulls you further away from the thing that you want.
Yeah.
Because then now you're coming up with all the reasons to where it's like, you don't want the thing. And that's what I realized with clients as well. It's like when we have one sales call, the first introduction call, and then the second call, there's the closer it is between those two calls, the better it is, because then they're still fired up about the thing.
Yep.
If you give them 2 weeks, they're talking to other people, they're finding reasons not to do that, or they're gonna try to do it themselves. Like, oh, I can do it myself. Don't worry about it, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things as well.
Well, it's great, right? Again, power of decision, right? And that's one of the things that I've learned from Bob is you got 30 seconds, even less, to decide, right? Like, it's you're either in or you're out. And once you go past that 30 seconds, you're going to cause a shit ton of chaos in your mind, right? It's like, I have to think about it. And again, that's not right or wrong. It is what it is. But again, that's the way we've been programmed to think, right? Like, I have to think about it. No, you don't. Like, what do you want? And then here. So, that's where, which, what, I'd love to hear your take, because I'll sort of lead us into the next question is, what would you say to someone who's sitting on the fence, right? The cliche, and they are going, should I or shouldn't I? Should I or shouldn't I? And again, that sort of idea that indecision is a choice in itself.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps most people stuck in life. And they are saying, again, the old conditioning, the old programming's going, hey, you don't have the time. You're super busy. You don't have the money in your bank account. You don't have the support of your significant other. You don't have the support of your friends, of da-da-da-da. And they just the programming starts rationalizing all the reasons they shouldn't. What would you tell someone that's been watching this, that obviously wants to make a quantum leap, but just gets hung up on the time, the money, the support? What would you say to them, knowing what you know now?
Okay, well, the first thing I would say is just do it. But the second thing that I would say is that all those objections and all those, not objections, because I can respect those things, because I went through all that stuff, all those things that kind of come up. Yeah. It's just trying to keep you safe. That's all it is. It's trying to keep you where you're at right now. But if you want those, this quantum leap, this big shift, it's like, it's not going to come with the habits and the routine that you currently have in your life at all. Like, just straight up period. And will be, and let me address each of those things individually. It's like the people who are going to tell you that it's crazy, dude. My cousin, who I asked for money, told me it's crazy, and I knew he was going to tell me it was freaking crazy, and he's did up until the last 4 months, and now he has nothing to say because he sees no results. He's been tracking my business for the longest time, right? Same with my girlfriend. I honestly did not tell her I was doing this until like 2 months into it, because I wasn't comfortable telling her that I was investing X amount of money when she is probably the one who knows my financial situation the best out of like everyone else, right? So there are going to be those people. You're either going to have to cut them off, which is possible for some people, and it's not possible for a lot of other people. But you just got to, trust yourself and let the results, kind of speak for itself when that leap happens, right? Because when that leap happens and those results show, they'll have nothing to say, or they'll be like, wow, right? So that's in terms of people. The money thing, I can't even explain the money thing, right? I think it's part of this work is by, making the commitment and the decision to do it. You'll do what it takes, and I guess you can say the universe. It's not one of those things where I preach to people because I need to see, see it to believe it, right? You can't tell me the universe is just going to give me money, but there's no other way that I can put it, because this is sort of the way that I have been seeing it. It's just like the money will show up however you need possible. And even if the money doesn't show up naturally, you'll find a way because you wanted it and because you made that commitment and you don't want to let someone down. I think that part of it is accountability, right? And then the timing thing, I honestly didn't have time, and I don't even have a family yet, but I'm just so entrenched in work that it's like I just had to go back and reassess what I was doing the last 5 years with my time. Like every minute of my day is accounted for, but I had to just look back and be like, okay, what am I actually doing with my time? So I spent, I don't know if I told you this, I spent a week just tracking my time. Like, what the heck was I actually doing with my time? And I found that like 2.5 hours of it a day went to, I don't know, there's a game called Clash Royale. I would actually just be gaming for 2.5 hours on my phone because I was pulling myself away from stuff that stressed me out from work. It's like, oh, I don't know, I want to deal with this. Or now I'll pull to my phone. It's the easiest, way to escape. It's just like, oh, pull up this game. So 2.5 hours. I only need an hour a day for this work, right? And that's where I found the time back, right? And I actually looked up my total play time for this game. I actually played this game, like if you add up all the hours, 28 days. I'm like, what the hell did I just waste 28 days of my life? Like,
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? And I'm all about efficiency. I'm all about, making the best use of my time, when little did I know, like all those minutes that I did on gaming just really added up. Yeah. Right. So I think the timing thing, you have the time. And I don't want to say it as if like, I don't understand everyone's situation. I respect that, but you will do what it takes in order to get you the results. Because even if you are like, I really, really don't have the time, well, can you stay up an extra hour for the next 6 months to get the results that you want in your life? It's like, it's sort of like a lot of my friends right now who are trying to start their own business, but they're also working in finance, meaning they work like 10 hours a day, but they still work another 4 hours when they get home. So they're working 14, 15 hour days. It's like on their side hustle because they want to escape that, that the corporate life and start their own thing. It's just like, well, they know that if they grind it out for the next year, after that, they'll have the life that they want. And it just really comes down to how much do you want it.
Yeah. No, and that's what I'm really gathering from you is, again, going back to it, is like we don't invest into things that we don't buy things that we need. We have everything we need already. We buy and invest into things that we want. Like you take a look around your house, right? And the question is, and what I'm really getting from you is, you wanted the life that you had talked about, right? And you wanted this thriving business, the thriving health, the thriving relationships, and you found a way, right? Yeah. And I love, and I'm not sure if everyone caught it, but you broke things down, right? Like you didn't focus on the big number, right? You focused on, okay, this month I need to get here. And then you broke it down and you sort of broke it down into a process, right? And just manageable steps. right?
Because I'm a really system driven guy. Like I need to have everything broken down. I need to see the thing. Because if you could show me the thing, I can tell you how I would get there. But this is one of those things where you couldn't show me. I just had to believe in it, right? So I had to figure out ways to break it down so that I was able to just prove to myself, whether it's like, okay, 10K a month by the end of the year, let's just do an extra 1K this month.
Yep.
I don't know how it happened.
Yep.
Right. Let's do another 1K the following month. And it just kind of happened. Right.
Yep.
So I think it's important. I definitely think it's important when, encouraging people to take this leap of faith is sort of really breaking down some minute things and figuring out what the action plan is going to look like, because you can't get so caught up in the big picture, because if you get caught up in that, it's like, oh, I'm just freaking lost. Okay, that's one thing there. And the other thing that I want to address is, like you said, I wasn't so focused on just my needs but also my wants. I think that was my biggest thing. I don't know if it was part of being Asian or it's just like life in general. For some reason, I had this belief that I shouldn't go after my wants. Because it's like, well, you should only have what you need, right? And part of that is like, I definitely think it's part of a family thing growing up and just being tight ass Asians. It's like, just be grateful that you already have what you need to survive, right? And it's like, at least you have a job. At least you this. I'm like, at least I wake up in the morning. I don't know. Like, what about? There's no excitement around any of that stuff. It's just you're having enough to live day to day, but you're still feeling shitty and stressed about certain things. It's like, is that what you want? Is that what I want? That's definitely not what I wanted. And it's definitely not what I needed in my life in order to prove to everyone else. Like I remember at the beginning of this whole journey, I was like, what did I want out of this? And one of the things was like, I wanted to go up to people and say, I told you so. Because I felt like I needed to prove to people the last 5 years that those 5 years weren't a waste. Right. So going after just living with my needs wasn't going to get me to be able to give you that big FU to people who did not believe in me. Right.
Well, one of the best parts is I love the shift where that's not even part. Like I can't even remember. I remember early on, like that was the motivator. But now you're just like, I'm just doing it because this is what I want, and that's been, to me, one of the coolest transitions I've seen into you. And that's why you're bringing all these amazing things into your life is, again, you're living completely inside out now. That's awesome. Okay. Well, hey, brother, I just wanted to thank you for coming on and sharing your story. I also wanted to acknowledge you for making the committed decision and jumping all in and taking that leap of faith with me. And most importantly, I'm excited enthused, that to see how the journey continues to unfold with you in 2021, because it's just going to continue to get better and better, and just enthused to support you and help you get to where you want to go. So thank you for coming on today, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I honestly don't know how else I can thank you. Like, there's this mass appreciation for everything that you've done for the last 6 months. And I'm excited to continue this journey with you, as well as anyone else who's going to be on the inside.
Yeah. Okay, brother. Well, thank you very much. And we will chat soon.
Thank you.